Hey guys, welcome to Griffo's Retro Gaming with me, Alex Griffo Griffiths. And today I'm doing a review of the new Baldurs Gate game, which has been re-released for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. Now, I've played, maybe about an hour of each, and I've got quite far because this is my favourite game of all time. I know the story inside out, so I feel I've played enough in that short space of time, if that makes sense, to make a judgment on the game so far. And I was both impressed and unimpressed in equal measures, but I'll go into that, I'll show you why. But for now, let's just have a look at some of the footage, and I'll just explain a bit of the story and a few of the new features. Now, Baldurs Gate is my favourite game of all time. Those that know me will testify to that. But I was a bit sceptical when they said that it was going to come to the home consoles. It's been released for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. Because it is a mouse and keyboard game. And it uses an isometric view, a lot like the old Fallout games and classic RPGs of the time, really. And it's hard to see how it would play on a console using a controller. This isn't a reboot as such. It's an enhanced edition, so they've just sharpened everything up, made it look nice, brought it to modern consoles and computers. The older games were starting to look really pixelated, and it really did take a lot out of the game, unfortunately. But the people that have worked on this are the ones that worked on the original Baldur's Gate, or a lot of them were. So, getting stuck into it, you start off with your character creation screen. Gender, I'm male, I think. And it gives you a lot of characters to choose from, portraits and things like that. So you just pick the one that's most like you. You'll find though that some of these are actual characters in the game, so it kind of takes a bit of immersion out. And they're what you can choose to be. And if you've played Skyrim or Oblivion, anything like that, they all have different advantages. Same goes for these. If you're going to be a half-orc, for example, you need to think about what your class is going to be. So with an half-orc, they've got a strength bonus, so naturally you're going to pick a fighter or a barbarian. So next up is the class, and as you'd expect, there's fighter, it has a subclass as well, so you've got berserker, wizard, slayer. I won't go too much into this. Wizard, slayer, you have bonuses against magic spellcasters, and clerics, which are healers as such. Thieves, self-explanatory. Shaman, and they did bring in some new characters and things when they were doing the enhanced edition, and Shaman's one of them. So it's a spellcaster as such, a bit between a mage and a druid. And thieves, obviously, you've got swashbuckler, which I really enjoy being. You can't backstab if you're a swashbuckler. Next up, you choose what you're proficient with. So because I chose a fighter, I'm going to choose a two-handed sword. So I would go for two-handed sword and two-handed weapon style, just to give myself more bonuses. And that's exactly what it does. It just gives you more bonuses. Each hit that you do is determined by a virtual dice roll, so much like the Dungeons and Dragons games. Next up is the colour choices of your character. So because I'm an half-orc, I'm going for a green, and I'm an Inter Milan fan, so I'm going to go for blue and black. Then you can choose your voice, which there's quite a lot here. The original games only had some really generic ones and the voices of the actual characters. And then you name him. So, Griffo. That's a good warrior's name. You associate Griffo with greatness, don't you? And this is different as well, so you can choose the difficulty of the game. Story mode, which I don't think you can be hurt. I've never played that. Then easy, normal, and it gives you an advantage when you're on easy, and when you go higher up the difficulty scale, it gives the enemies advantage. But the new one is Legacy of Ball, which is absolutely ridiculous. And you can see their enemies have all the benefits of insane difficulty, as well as significantly more hit points, improved Thacker, which is to hit armor class 0, which I won't go too far into, it'll blow your mind. So the story is that you're in Candlekeep, which is this place here, and you're under the tutelage of your foster father, Gorion. He's suddenly grown very distant, and you aim to find out why, essentially. So the review of the game is, it's very, very fiddly, and I'm struggling here to determine what all the buttons do. So this is the L2 button, which brings up this radial menu, and that just reorders your group. This one is the R2 button, which is everything that you need, really. So you can go into your inventory here and see what weapons, armor, well, items that you have, really. You can navigate between everything and like swap everything about that you need to. Also, interestingly, you can take control of your character and move him as though it's just a normal game. Before, in the older games, you'd have to use your mouse, click, and he'd walk towards it. A bit like if you play Command and Conquer. So this is one of the first little missions that you get, and it's to ease you into the game, essentially, show you what you got. But this is a good little thing. It tells you when you've updated your journal. So it gives you a quick, brief overview of the first mission that you have. So there's all these like chests and things, drawers to loot, and again, it's a bit of a training session. So you need to stay out the view of people, or else the guards will be called. I'll show you that a little bit later on, but it's very awkward. You have to press the square button, and that takes you down to the weapon, and then you can use your weapon to bash the lock open. Of course, if you've got a thief, you can use a thief skill to try and open the lock. You don't need any lock picks or anything like that like you would need on Skyrim, so that's pretty good, to be fair. It's a great little feature as well. So it brings up a map and you can see the movable area in which your character can go. This comes in handy later on in the game where you're in areas with a lot of detail. Sometimes the paths just merge into the background, so this just defines it for you. Also, you can bring up every like chest and things like that, what you can open. If you keep that on, you'll find everything. Now, this is my favourite bit of the whole game. It's absolutely wonderful. As soon as you come across a hostile, the game pauses so you can prepare. Now, on the older Baldurs Gate games, you would just hit space as soon as you see something. So what I'm going to do for this video is a pros and cons column, which I'll put... It's going to be mainly the new features that we're going to be having a look at, and the actual port to a home console, because this was a PC game from 1998, 99. So it's, yeah, had to really judge the graphics and things like that. That, you know, it wouldn't be fair. So we'll start with the cons. So the first thing is just the port to the controller, and that's not necessarily the fault of the developers or anybody like that. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. It's an old school game designed for the PC, so you've got lots of buttons and different sections to go through, things like that. And it's not designed for a controller, unfortunately. It was very fiddly at times, like you saw in the video. Yeah, there is a tutorial on there, but I chose to just go diving straight in and to see how it would be for someone new to the series, because I don't think many people would bother doing a tutorial, to be honest. But you probably should if you're new to the series or the game. And yeah, that's a big con, unfortunately. And the reason being, for me, is that if you're new to the game, new to the whole idea behind the older school RPGs, then it's going to put you off big time. You're just going to get to a point where you're like 10, 15, 20 minutes into it and you're thinking, I can't be arsed. And that's unfortunate, really, because it's such a great, fantastic series that deserves to be loved by people that are new to that kind of game. So my second con, and this is again a really big one, and it even frustrated me. I could get around the controller a bit because I knew kind of what I was doing, and I found it easy after so long to get to. Well, I say easy. I got more familiar with it after a certain amount of time, but this really annoyed me. And again, it's not so much the way that the people have programmed it, it's all down to the port over to a console. And that is, you can only carry so many items, which is the same in many RPGs. But with this one, there's so much to pick up that you'd need, whether it be for money or new items. The first game, you have a problem with, you're level 1, and you have problems with the iron in the region. It's been tainted and it breaks easy. So you're going through weapons like nobody's business because they keep breaking. So you do need to keep picking things up, and it's such a shame that you have to like pick up with one person and then transfer it by a press of a button to get to their inventory to pass it. It was just too much, unfortunately, and that really did take a lot out of it. Because another thing is, you can pick up everything in a certain area. Not on the older games, you had to go to a certain thing on the floor, pick it up. This time you go to a certain thing on the floor, and if there's other bits of the map in your immediate area, then it brings everything up, and you can click to collect it all, which, yeah, that would be quite useful. Unfortunately, there's only so many slots, and a lot of the time you're just like, you're clicking the button to collect everything by accident, and it picks up all this crap that you don't need, and then you've got to drop it again individually to be able to pick up the stuff that you do need. And like I say, for a veteran, that really took it away from me as well, from someone that loves the series and is a veteran of the series. So we'll have a look at some of the pluses, which I was quite surprised with, and I did actually like the inclusion of them. So the first one is a bit of a little one, but I mean, it doesn't affect me so much. I know the map's inside out, but the inclusion to allow you to see a walkable area. Now, it's only a little thing, but it's nice to have on there, because I know that in the second game especially, there's a place which is under nightfall, and it's really hard to see all the bits. The background merges into the dark and stuff like that, and sometimes you just don't know where you're going a lot of the time, and it can be a bit fiddly. So to have that overlay on the map is great, to be honest. And yeah, it's a nice little inclusion which some people may find handy to have. Now, the second one is the inclusion of an auto pause, which is something they add on the PC, I believe. But this is really good, and it's something that is really needed for the home port. And basically, whenever you see an enemy, it automatically pauses the game, and that's to allow you to set up for the battle. If you've got a spellcaster, you can ready a spell. If you want someone to stay back and fire arrows, then, you know, you can do that. You're able to do all that. And with it being on a controller, it's an absolute godsend. On the PC, it's just a matter of hitting the space, but I suppose this is just a matter of hitting the pause button, but I did like the fact that it was just automatically there for you. It really did help, I believe. And yeah, even for me, I thought it was a good feature, and it was one that I didn't want to turn off. It was, you know, it was handy to have, really, because that's what I used to do on the original. I used to hit space all the time. So overall, I'd have to give it a 6 out of 10. And this is my favourite series of all time, but because it's been ported to the console and you use a controller, it doesn't work as well as people would probably like it to. On the Switch, it may work better because you can use the touch. I do have it I've got an iPad and I've got it on there, and it works really well. It's a better port than this is. So that's one of the main reasons why I've scored it so low, but it's still a beautiful looking game. They've poured in the enhanced edition, which was not so much a remake. They did add quite a few things to it, like new characters and weapons, but the overall idea was to just modernise it and bring it to modern consoles and to new players, and they have sharpened it up a lot. It looks as beautiful as it did when it was first released back in the late 90s. And you've got to consider that a lot of the games back then were just pixelated messes, yet the art style used in this series is just phenomenal. And the voice acting is wonderful. On a major one, I don't know if you'd know, so I'll just explain. There's a character called Minsk in the series. He's one of the biggest characters in it. I love him. My favourite character of every game. And he's voiced by someone called Jim Cummins, who's an American voice actor. And you might know him from the Turtles cartoon back in the 80s. He was Shredder. So he's got a really unique voice, and he's fantastic in this as Minsk. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's wonderful. And the interaction between the characters backwards and forwards, and the different routes you can go down, and you can upset people. Other characters are upset by other ones, and they start fighting sometimes if you don't simmer it down and things like that. It's just a wonderful game. And the magic is still there with the game. It's just very awkward, especially on the PlayStation 4. I assume it'll be the same for the Xbox. Not sure about the Switch. It may be good for the Switch, so I'll await people to tell me if it's good or not. But overall, if you can get it, I don't know, around £20, it's, maybe wait a couple of months or whatever. If you can get it cheaper than it is at the minute, I think it's $39.99, then it's a buy, definitely. And yeah, just experience it. And if you don't like it, then please give it a go on the iPad or download it off GOG.com, because it is so much better on a computer, laptop, or a tablet. And that's my review. And I did enjoy playing it. Yeah. It was hard work at times. So I've enjoyed doing this video though, and that's what matters. And I hope you've enjoyed it too. I just want to say thank you to everyone that does support me and everyone that watches and comments and things like that. It makes my day when I see that I've got a comment that says, that was brilliant. It just makes everything so worthwhile, and that's what this is all about. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be next week, hopefully. Thanks for watching.